This week, the HPT crowns a champion from the biggest little city in the world, Reno, Nevada. The Peppermill Resort Spa Casino has once again laid out the welcome mat for the HPT, and players from across the country came to enjoy their new state-of-the-art poker room and to leave here as our newest HPT champion. As always, a massive field was whittled down to the HPT's final 6. Past HPT champions, poker pros, and a hopeful amateur all sat down under the lights in front of our TV cameras at this final table. A devastating bad beat and a mistimed play have us at 4 players remaining fighting it out for the championship. Will one of these pros make their mark on the HPT, or will it be the amateur who rises up to the challenge?
Hi there, I'm Daniel Hojos.
My name is Joseph Chrisman.
My name is Lloyd Marshall. I'm from Honolulu, Hawaii.
Mark Pokerhole Kroon. I'm ready to take this down. I'm from Madison, Wisconsin. It's the hotbed of poker. We got so many great players, and now it's me. I'm the final table guy.
Just from watching other players, I kind of have an idea of how it's going to go down. Lloyd, he's kind of an interesting one because he's tight, but he also calls with hands that most people will not call with.
Oh, all these lights and cameras, this would never change my game. I'm one key, so you know what? If I got it, I got it. If I ain't, good luck to the other people.
They come from all walks of life, each with a story to tell. All they need is a chip and a chair. It's an open casting call for those who love the game. This ain't your weekend home game. This is the HPT.
Sit right down, put on your poker face. You with the big dogs now. Better bring your best game. Talk trash all you want. To me, it's all the same. You won't leave with much when you come in second place. I'm the one with the stack showing 7 to the jack. Gon' cry to your mama cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.
Hello and welcome to the HPT from Peppermill Casino Resort Spa in Reno, Nevada. The last call for Season 7 on the HPT. I'm Chris Hansen, and by my side is Fred Bevel. And Fred, this final table is everything we thought it would be when we started this final 6.
This table started with past champions Eric Stokes and 2008 Player of the Year Mary Jo Belcore-Zogman. Both were looking for their second HPT title, and both fell short. Mary Jo's final table was cut short when her wired kings were snapped by, of course, an ace on the river. Then it was retired NFL player Eric Stokes who tried to steal the blinds and antes by going all in with 7-deuce. He got called down by ace-jack, and Eric was sidelined in 5th place.
That means we have 4 players who are left, one of whom will be our final champion in Season 7. Let's meet the rounders and then get right to the table.
In seat number 1, it is Mark Kroon from Madison, Wisconsin. He's a bar owner and a poker player. He's been playing the game for 20-plus years. Learned the game from his good friend, Mr. Phil Hellmuth. And Mark is one entertaining guy to have at the final table. Not afraid to chat it up with everybody.
And in seat number 2, this is Daniel Hojos. He is from Incline Village, Nevada. Freddie enjoyed some time as the chip leader here at this final table, and he has invested just $365 into the biggest tournament he says he's ever played in.
This is Joe Chrisman from Pacifica, California. He was born in Seoul, Korea. He is enjoying a 3-month-old baby daughter at home. He is playing for her tonight and only has $360 invested in this tournament. Right now, he's just under $1 million in chips.
And finally, in seat 5, this is Lloyd Marshall, the first person ever from the state of Hawaii to make one of our final tables. We say aloha to him. And Fred, he told us that his wife is his only lucky charm at the poker table.
Here is what these players have in front of them right now. It is Joe Chrisman as our chip leader. Both Mark and Daniel have enjoyed the chip lead at this final table. Lloyd right now is second in chips. At one time, he was one of the short stacks.
We start tonight with blinds of 20 and 40,000 with a 5K ante. Action is first on Joe Chrisman. Congratulations to him. 3-month-old baby girl Avalon at home with wife Megan.
Yeah, congratulating him on a 3-month-old daughter, that's nice and dandy. He really deserves congratulations because his wife, Megan, fully supportive of his poker play, doesn't even need to ask permission.
Wow, just goes.
I have to sneak out and then come up with a lie on where I really was.
Your wife thinks right now you're volunteering down at the soup kitchen, doesn't she?
Yep.
She has no idea you're on national TV.
Not a clue.
Well, Joe's going to raise it up with Jack 10 of hearts to 90,000. Lloyd looks like he's going to call with pocket fives.
Lloyd's got to be a little more careful about how he stages those chips. They're a little too far out in front of his cards.
You get them. You get them. We're a team, buddy.
Mark will fold. Daniel will fold. And here we go. Our first flop of the night is King, King, Deuce.
Lloyd has the best of it right now with his wired fives.
Joe is first to act. Nice rail crowd joining us here at the Peppermill in Reno.
And Joe is going to fire just a teeny-weensy bet of 75,000.
Action to Lloyd with his pocket fives on the button. But Lloyd makes the call.
Lloyd's not believing him. He's going to see a turn card.
Let's see what the turn is going to bring. It's an 8 of clubs. Joe, first to act again.
Joe misses on the turn. Lloyd still has the best of it with pocket fives, but Joe took the lead in betting here. Let's see if he can fire a second bullet. Well, he's going to have to make it a lot bigger than 75,000 this time, and it looks like it's a lot bigger. 140,000. Lloyd Marshall's an amateur, only been playing poker a few months, but Chris, he is not letting these people push him around at this final table.
He calls and announces, I don't think he has the king. And Lloyd, we are going to have to see a river. A little mind game going on between these two as we head to the river in what's becoming quickly a very big pot. The river is a 4. And Joe finally submits and says, I can't take anymore. I check.
Lloyd is going to fire on the river here, hoping to get some value.
Wasn't I, Lloyd?
Lloyd announces to himself, if you check, you lose, so he thinks he's got a bet to try to take this down. He is going to bet 160,000 with authority.
Well, Joe here, no pair, no draw, no nothing, is not going to invest another chip into this pot.
And in the end, Lloyd Marshall is going to win. And the show? Yes, sir. Here are my pair of fives.
Hung in there the whole way with a small pair on that kind of a texture. Good for you, Lloyd.
Nice job, Lloyd Marshall. And with that win is now our new chip leader at this final table. Just in time as blinds are going up to 30 and 60K with a 5,000 chip ante. And Daniel Holhouse is going to be first to act.
His baby gap connectors go into the muck.
Over to Joe, he folds. And now to Lloyd in the small blind. He will limp in with Queen Jack suited. And Mark will check his option with 8-5 offsuit.
Right now, I need a really bad flop. I'm going to be honest with you.
Chris, go ahead and see the flop, please.
And here we go. Let's take a look at the flop. It is 6-10-4.
You're first, Lloyd.
Lloyd is still ahead with Queen High, but Mark has flopped a gut shot straight draw. He'll be hoping to find a 7 to pull ahead.
Why are you so serious all of a sudden? I thought we were boys.
Lloyd and Mark playing a lot of hands against one another at this final table.
$85,000 is the bet from Lloyd, and Mark says uncle, folds, and Lloyd 2 for 2 so far tonight at this final table.
Lloyd now our chip leader at this final table, and we'll come back with him in that position when we return on the HPT. Welcome back to the HPT. He's been very active and not afraid to speak his mind at this final table. Let's meet poker player Mark Kroon.
Mark Pokerhole Kroon, I'm ready to take this down. You know, when you play as much poker as I do, you have to have a great wife. And I have the best wife in the world. Her name's Christy. She's a school teacher, and without her, none of this would be possible. Of course, every time I win, I have to give her the money, so she likes that. But she gets so much of the benefits because we get to go travel all over the world, and she's like the perfect poker wife. I'm from Madison, Wisconsin. It's the hotbed of poker. I know everyone says, well, you got to say Phil Hellmuth from Madison, Wisconsin, but we got baseball. We got so many great players from Madison, Wisconsin, and now it's me. I'm the final table guy. I met Phil 30 years ago. We started playing a little 1-2 game at this bar that I eventually bought. We became really good friends, and once he won the World Series of Poker, I'm like, well, if he can do it, anybody can do it.
Lloyd, you are now the chip leader, my man, with almost half the chips in play. Right now, the short stack is Daniel with only 420,000. Mark was the one-time chip leader at this final table. He is sitting just on 640,000.
30 and 60,000 are the blind. 5K is the ante.
Nice place. It's on the side of the mountain.
He's got ace, king.
A lot of people like that hand.
And it's not crowded. And
I have one.
While Joe is deliberating what to do, Mark and Lloyd are making plans to go clubbing later.
All right, we can go Red Hawk.
what's the name of your
All right, and Joe is going to raise on the button. He's going to make it 135,000. Action's now on Lloyd.
Lloyd's got ace-jack. This could get ugly. A four-handed game. Both players peel back big aces. He's just going to call.
It's us against him.
And Mark is going to call with 8-10 offsuit.
More fun.
And so these three players will see a flop together.
You're making my day enjoyable. I'm telling you that right now. Win or lose, you're making my day.
Thank you, sir.
I'll wait till it gets to me.
I know that Mark said he learned the game from Phil Hellmuth a couple of decades ago. Obviously, he learned how to talk at the poker table as well. And look at this. The flop is 10-3-3. Mark, with the worst hand going into the flop, comes out smelling like a rose after the flop.
Mark flops top two pair. Joe and Lloyd, nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Lloyd looks like he's ready to bet.
2-1.
And Lloyd's betting 200,000.
And this might be what Mark was waiting for. You got to think, with Joe Chrisman raising pre-flop and these two guys calling, you can't put any of these players with a 3 in their hand. And that's probably what Mark is thinking right now. Unless someone's holding ace-10 or king-10, he's got it.
I'm all in.
And that's what he's thinking. He's going to get them all in the middle. And now the pressure's on Joe.
Joe, our original raiser, found himself in the middle of a aggression sandwich between these two all of a sudden.
I don't like doing it with my buddy. I don't think I'm fold.
So it's 500,000 chips to Joe to make the call.
At 500 exactly.
And he is going to fold, and so now it'll be to Lloyd for 300,000.
Fold by Joe.
Well, Lloyd is the chip leader right now. He might make this call in hopes that Mark is just bluffing
here. Is a 10 good?
You got my 10?
Is a 10 good? Okay, I'm sorry.
I didn't want to play you, that's why.
I know you didn't. I don't want to play you either, sir.
I didn't want to play you.
And Lloyd is going to lay it down.
I know.
Yeah, and Mark shows the 10.
Why didn't you shove, Lloyd?
Lloyd showed ace-jack, I showed 10s.
I know. I said, why? I wish you'd shove pre-flop.
Come on in with the drinks, dear.
Well, now drinks are coming to the table. These guys are talking and speculating with one another. Fred, I feel like I'm getting in the way just talking about the poker game. What do you say you and I head out to the casino floor and just let these guys figure it out?
Why not? Why not? Actions are going to start this hand with Joe Chrisman. Joe might be steaming a little bit there. You got the best drawing hand in poker and
call it a comeback, sir.
End up getting pushed off on the flop.
You're welcome.
No, Fred, I'm serious. Let's get some pie. Let's get out of here.
I can't wait. Every year I'm sending you a Christmas card.
Joe's going to fold. Here we are back to our friend Lloyd Marshall, disabled American veteran, Vietnam vet.
I win the tournament.
Have you seen my jacket? I'm going to get. I am.
You're not going anywhere. Sit down. Sit down.
Okay, fine. I'll stick around till the end.
Lloyd is going to call 60,000 with Queen 4.
Honestly, you're probably saving me money in the long run, so thank you. All right, and now over to Daniel. He's got pocket 10s.
Another 140.
And Daniel is going to re-raise it 140,000 more, making it 200 straight.
Okay. 140 more.
All right, so back to Lloyd, 140,000 to call.
Okay, I cannot believe Lloyd is even staging chips right now. He is going to make the call. If Lloyd somehow sucks out here and we see a showdown, Daniel just might blow a gasket.
Please see the flop.
He is not going to like what he sees if he gets outdrawn, that's for sure. Here we go. The flop is 6 Jack Trey. Daniel's 10 still ahead.
Actually, I got a million.
And Daniel's first act.
Or a million, because you only have 50,000.
Daniel right now trying to figure out the right number to get Lloyd off the hand.
And here comes a bet from Daniel. It is the all-in bet. It's $210,000 over to Lloyd, and there's no way he can call this. No draw, just one overcard to the board. And Lloyd is going to have to let it go. So Daniel's pocket tens are going to win this hand. That's his first victory in a hand in quite some time at this final table. More action when we return to the Peppermill Casino Resort in Reno, Nevada, coming up on the HPT. Welcome back to the HPT this week at Peppermill Casino Resort in Reno, Nevada. I'm Chris Hansen. By my side is Fred Bevel. And Fred, Mark's got that chip lead again.
Boy, it has been swingy all night long. He started the final table as the chip leader, lost it for a while. Now he has it back. Lloyd right on his heels, though, with $775,000 in
like
chips.
That death thing, you know, someone just died.
Queen 9 is the holding for Mr. Holhosh.
Deciding what to do with his Queen 9 out of the small blind.
All of that tank time to limp. He's going to make the call over to Joe.
The option has been checked.
With 10-6 offsuit. You got to hand it to Daniel, though. Every decision he has made, whether he's had a big hand or a hand like Queen 9, takes the same amount of time. A lot of people find that very off-putting, but it can also at the same time be very useful. Flop is 8 Ace 10.
Well, Joe gets the best of this. He flops second pair. Daniel flops a gut shot straight draw. He'll be hoping for a jack.
Are you coming back in, Steve?
And Daniel will be taking his time and be first to act.
Why, you didn't do bad.
I love her, but Steve's my boy.
Let Steve help me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get rid of these guys.
Okay.
Daniel looks like he's ready to make a bet, but he checks.
No, it was a hesitant check.
Joe doesn't look like he's going to let that go by for free. Places a bet there for $60,000. Not a very big bet. Easy call for a gut shot straight draw.
Surprisingly quick call from Daniel. And the turn is a 7.
Well, Daniel's draw gets even better. Now it's open-ended. And Joe picks up a straight draw, but he is already ahead with his pair of 10s.
Daniel checks. Over to Mr. Chrisman.
Daniel hoping to get a free river here, and he is going to get a free river. That ace slowed Joe down a little bit.
May I please see the river card?
And now the river pairs the board with another 8.
And Joe's got the best hand, but Daniel looks like he's going to make a bet here to try to push Joe off.
60.
60,000.
You want to talk about please call me kind of bets. That looks like it is one from Daniel, and Joe does call.
Easy call for Joe here. Daniel trying to make that look like a value bet on the river. Just too cheap for a pair to fold there, especially four-handed. And Joe's going to win a nice big pot.
Come on, man. Jesus.
Daniel felt that his only opportunity to win that hand, obviously with Queen High, was going to be to bet the river. He did. I don't think he bet enough. Blinds are up 40 and 80,000. 10K ante now.
Suited connectors for Daniel. Under the gun.
It's 80,000 the big blind right now.
80,000.
I got 4,000. It's like 5 times now.
Daniel figuring out he doesn't have a whole lot of stack to play with, and he's going to go all in.
Why didn't you do that?
Try to scoop up those blinds and antes. It's working so far. Over to the chip leader.
Mark Kroon makes the call. He's got wired 7s.
And thank you.
And we have 2 overcards going against the smaller pair. We got a race on our hands.
Just so you know.
That's got it.
Ship that 7.
So Daniel Holhos's tournament life is on the line, but the chip leader's ahead going to the flop. The flop is Jack 9-6, and just like that, Daniel now has a stranglehold on this hand.
Just like that, you go 60-40 to 90-10.
Ship it. Ship that.
The turn is an ace of spades, so now Mark's just looking for one of the last 2 sevens in the deck.
Spades is fine, too. Do this for me one time.
Mark has had the chip lead. He's lost the chip lead. Looks like he's about to lose it again.
The river is a 5, and sure enough, Daniel moving all in with 9-10 of diamonds, just looking to scoop up the blinds and antes. But instead, Fred, with a great flop, is ending up doubling up.
Mark, the good sport, gives him a little fist pound after that hand, and he's going to lick his wounds and move on.
And Lloyd is going to be first act. Only playing poker for 5 months. Unbelievable, making this final table.
All in.
Mark Kroon has announced it. He is all in with 8 deuce. But that's a big bet. Only a premium hand's going to call. Joe Chrisman wakes up with wired 4s. I don't think he's going to do it, Chris.
It looks like he's strongly considering the options here. He's looking at how many chips everybody has.
The words are almost coming out of my mouth. Just don't want to say it.
I felt that way at my wedding. I do. Ugh.
I believe you said fine when they said do you.
Well, Joe definitely in a pickle here. You got a baby pair facing an all-in, and he does make the call. My goodness, what a call here by Joe Chrisman. I figured he'd think he's either racing or crushed. Turns out he's got Mark against the rope with only 1 live card in the 8.
And here we go. The flop is ace 6 5.
I win.
Mark is either hoping for an 8 on this turn or running cards for a straight.
And the turn is a 3.
And that's one of the running cards Mark needs. It gave him some more outs. Now he's hoping for a 4 or an 8 on the river, or the one-time chip leader is done.
The river is a 9 of diamonds, and that will do it. Mark has been eliminated, came to this final table as our chip leader, and the player from Madison, Wisconsin will leave us in 4th place.
What a call by Joe Chrisman.
I've never seen someone have so much fun at a final table than you. It was awesome.
Well, you know, I didn't come here to fold, so it's a lot of fun. And, you know, playing poker is, we're just so lucky to be able to do it. So.
All right, better luck next time.
Thanks a lot. Look forward to seeing you soon.
We'll be back to the Peppermill Casino Resort in Reno, Nevada when we return. Welcome back to the HPT. We have a break in the action and time for our weekly Pro Tip of the Week with 2004 World Series of Poker main event champion Greg Raymer. Now tonight Greg is going to discuss how to deal with a calling station at your table.
How do you correctly play against a calling station? Let me say first and foremost, never bluff. They're a calling station. They call. You can't expect them to fold even if they have a very weak hand. So never bluff the calling station. Basically, this is the perfect opponent. This is what you want. You want 9 of these people at your table every time you play, because now you can just wait for a good enough hand, and then you can bet and they will pay you off with a bad hand. So just wait for a hand that's strong enough and then bet it for value. And don't be shy about betting the river, even with something like second pair and no kicker, because they will call you with so many weaker hands that it's often worth it. But let me say again, the important thing about playing against a calling station is never bluff. Take that to heart. I'm amazed how many people just don't understand that and try it because they're so sure they can get the guy to fold his mediocre hand. That's why he's a calling station. He never folds.
All right, thank you very much, Greg. Fred, I'd like to introduce a different term in your vocabulary. It's what I am. It's kind of what you'd call a bluffing station. It's not as highly publicized as the calling station.
You just think everybody is a calling station because you're such a bluffing station.
Absolutely. Let's get back to the felt. 3-handed, blind still 40 and 80 with a 10K ante.
We saw in that chip count that it is a narrow margin between first and second, only 10,000 in chips between Joe Chrisman and Lloyd.
Joe has Queen 9. From the small blind, looks like he's going to be limping in. And now over to Lloyd.
Raise.
150. Lloyd announces a raise with Big Slick.
150,000 more is the raise. Back to Joe.
150, so he's going to raise it to 230. Okay.
150,000 more is the call for Joe to stay in this hand with Queen 9. You know, Chris, all night long players have been facing big bets from Lloyd, and they play back at him. You think they'd figure out Lloyd's pretty tight. He's generally going to have it. Joe goes all in. Lloyd makes the easy call, and look at this.
Well, Lloyd is ahead right now. Tournament life on the line, but Freddie is not out of the woods yet.
Who said that?
Joe has 2 live cards.
Never mind.
Almost 2 million chips in this pot, and let's take a look at the flop to see if Lloyd can stay ahead with his ace-king and avoid elimination. The flop is 4 ace-jack.
Hello, top pair, no waiting. Lloyd puts a hammerlock on this hand by pairing the ace, and now Joe is going to be hoping for running cards to straighten out here.
The turn is another jack, and that's going to do it. Joe is going to double Lloyd up, and Lloyd with ace-king got all the chips in the middle, and I hope later on tonight Joe isn't kicking himself saying, queen 9, the demise of my final table.
Well, I'm going to need some Dramamine for all the motion sickness going on at this final table between these stacks. Joe was the chip leader by only 20,000 in chips. He just doubled up Lloyd and sunk down into 3rd place now.
So Joe has moved all in blind. He was first to act on the button. He's got just over 150,000 in chips. So we'll wait to see what he has from his blind hand. We're going to take a look at Lloyd's hand. He's got 5 deuce in the small blind.
Why not? It's only 150,000. He's dark, but he folds anyway. Daniel's going to make the easy call with king, queen suited. Let's see what Joe's got.
Hey, pocket 7s. You kidding me?
Well, Joe's going to the flop ahead, but Daniel 2 live cards and the suit.
Fred, remind me just to play the rest of my hands blind for the rest of my life. This is brilliant.
I thought that's how you did play.
Oh, well, now the flop changes things dramatically. The flop is jack 8-9. And the turn is a deuce of hearts, and that's going to do it for Joe. He's now drawing dead with his blind pocket 7s. And Fred, remind me never to play hands dark. They never end up winning in the end. And just like that, Joe Chrisman doubles up Lloyd. Very next hand, he is walking away from our final table.
All right, guys, joined with Joe. Now, Joe, congratulations, 3rd place. Nothing wrong with that. You came to this final table as one of the short stacks, but you hung around, made some good decisions. But in poker, it only takes one bad decision to go out of the tournament. How do you feel you played?
I feel I played okay. I made some weird moves that it might look funny on TV. It worked out for the most part until the end, where I chose the wrong time, the wrong opponent, and the wrong move.
So we are now ready for heads-up poker. Daniel in seat 2, Lloyd in seat 5. And Lloyd's going to look down at 3-6 for his first heads-up hand.
Raise.
And the man who's only been playing poker a few months is going to raise it up with 6-3 here, heads up.
Be interesting to see for someone who doesn't have all that much experience playing in general how they handle a heads-up match. And looks like Lloyd has already figured out that limping in a heads-up game is pretty much useless.
Let's see how Daniel reacts to this raise.
Okay, so the total raise is to
230,000 is the call.
Check it for me.
Raises to 230.
Jack 5 is the holding. And Daniel's going to pass, and Lloyd is going to scoop the first hand.
There you go, Lloyd. Well, now you can't say you got skunked heads up in your battle here, as you are the chip leader. As we get started here, heads up. Blinds are 40 and 80K.
Action is over here to my right. Daniel.
And king deuce of spades is what Daniel looks down to.
We already know that Daniel is very deliberate in his action. He's going to take all the time he wants to take. And he's going to go ahead and limp in here. And Lloyd's going to oblige by checking his option.
All right, Steve, let's go ahead and see the flop, sir.
All right, and here comes the flop. It is 6-10 jack, 2 diamonds.
No help for either of these players. Right now, Daniel's still ahead with king high. Lloyd's going to check.
Both players now check.
Daniel checks behind.
The turn pairs the board, and it puts another diamond up with a 6 of diamonds.
Lloyd picks up a flush draw. Daniel's still ahead with king high, and Lloyd's going to go ahead and semi-bluff here. Bets 120,000.
Looks like 120. 120, Fred, is the bet.
And it looks like Daniel is going to make the call.
And the call has been made. Copy.
Daniel wondering why, if he had something, he didn't bet on the flop to try to protect it, but then he bets on the turn when the board pairs and 3 diamonds come. And the river brings a 9 of diamonds, so Lloyd's got the flush.
Lloyd's got the winning hand right now.
That's close.
And Lloyd is hand counting how many diamonds are on the board here. And he's going to fire out 200,000. Let's see if Daniel picks up the tell.
How big is your diamond, Lloyd?
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby.
And from the conversation, it looks like Daniel does put him on the diamonds, but he is going to raise here.
He makes it 450,000. Action is back to Lloyd. Can he pull the trigger?
Lloyd's got to be thinking, does he have a queen, a king, or an ace of diamonds in his hand? Those are the only flush cards that beat him. I can't imagine he puts him on a boat because he would have protected a set earlier in the hand.
You know what? I'm not high enough.
But Lloyd is going to say, I don't think I've got a big enough diamond, and he will fold. Daniel's going to pick up this hand, and more heads-up action here from the Peppermill when we come back on the HPT. Welcome back to the HPT's last call from Peppermill Casino Resort in Reno, Nevada. Heads up, pretty much even as we continue here with Daniel and Lloyd.
Lloyd's got 51% of the chips in play. Daniel, 49% of the chips in play. Obviously, anybody's match. Let's see who can pull ahead of the other here and be the next HPT champion.
Daniel Holhosh is first act. Queen 10 offsuit.
Daniel is a soccer coach and a referee living in Incline Village. Lloyd from Hawaii is a retired disabled American veteran.
Daniel limps in with Queen 10. Lloyd checks his option with 9-10 of hearts. And now we'll see a flop. It is Ace Deuce 3.
Daniel ahead right now with Queen High.
Lloyd checks. Back to Daniel.
Daniel doesn't want to bet.
Here comes the turn. It's an 8 of clubs.
That's a brick on the turn here. Daniel's still ahead with Queen High, and he's going to bet, and Lloyd's going to go ahead and fold and move on to the next one. These players so tight in chips, Chris, I think they're going to step cautiously towards each other until a big hand comes along and really swings the momentum one way. Blind still at 40 and 80 with a 10K ante.
Daniel's going to start with 4-7 offsuit this time. And he will limp in. Now, normally I hate limping when you're playing heads up, but if you're playing someone who you know is less experienced than you are, then I guess I don't really mind the limping in. Let things develop from that point. The flop is 8-4 queen with 2 diamonds.
Well, Daniel has flopped the best of this with a pair of 4s.
Lloyd first act.
Lloyd didn't hit anything on this flop, but he is going to go ahead and represent and fires out 80,000.
Back on Daniel.
Daniel with bottom pair is going to fold, giving Lloyd a little respect here. Both these players stepping cautiously.
You know, I think if I'm Daniel, I want this to go a long time, but if I'm Lloyd, I would probably like to get this tournament over with as fast as I can, knowing that obviously the person I'm sitting across the table from has a little bit more experience than I do. I want to get this over. I don't want to have to play any more hands than I necessarily have to.
Lloyd will be first to act. He's got gap connectors with 8-10. And Lloyd looks like he's going to go ahead and just limp in.
A 5, right?
Yep.
And now option to Daniel.
Daniel is going to check with Jack 5 suited.
All right, Chris, let's go ahead and see the flop, please.
All right, let's take a look at another flop. It's 7-4 ace with 2 clubs.
Well, Daniel has flopped a flush draw. Lloyd has got nothing here, just 10 high.
And Daniel's first.
Daniel's going to check. Try to give Lloyd a little bit of rope in case he hits his flush. Lloyd says, no, sir, I'm not falling for that.
Let's see if Daniel can pick up a free flush. He does not, but he does make a pair of 5s on the turn.
And Lloyd picks up a gut shot straight draw.
140K is Daniel's bet.
And, yeah, I was going to say, Lloyd, just stop now. You don't need to go any further in this hand. He is going to fold. And, boy, both these guys, just like a couple of boxers in the ring dancing around, throwing little jabs at each other. When is the knockout punch coming?
This hand will start with Daniel and King 8.
Daniel makes a call. We got an option over here with
Daniel calls, and now to Lloyd. Lloyd started going to his chips. Daniel broke his concentration there, and Lloyd is definitely raising here with ace queen of spades. Makes it 250,000. And I think Daniel's going to try to catch Lloyd here. See if he can hit something on this flop to take this pot. He is going to call.
Well, one thing's for sure, Daniel definitely putting Lloyd on a premium hand.
And here we go. The flop is 6-6-5.
And I think this is the kind of flop that Daniel was hoping for. I think he has Lloyd on big cards. Obviously, he wouldn't have raised. And he was hoping for a raggedy flop like this so that he can go ahead and take advantage.
It looks like Lloyd is ready to bet as he is first acts. And he bets 250,000 back to Daniel. Did this come together the way Daniel was hoping or not? Trying to figure out if this is a continuation bet or he has a legitimate hand.
Lloyd.
Trying to engage him, and Lloyd will have none of that. And I think Daniel was hoping for a check on the flop where he could bet and take the hand down, but instead it is Lloyd Marshall continuing to have the upper hand in this heads-up battle.
Money, to be honest, doesn't really mean anything for me at this point. Most probably you guys gonna get me a good start and a new career or anything like that. So I'm gonna see. I have not planned anything with the money yet.
Number one, I give it to my wife and let her take care of the problem of where the money goes. A lot of people thought that I just wouldn't make it, and it would be an honor to show a lot of these people up that, hey, you know what, I can do it.
Well, it's good to see some fresh faces at our final table, a final table that actually featured 2 past HPT champions. They were trying to win their second championship here at the HPT, and both of these guys, Fred, trying to win their first.
Lloyd right now has the upper hand, but it's still anybody's game. Lloyd with 1.8 million in chips. Daniel almost 1.3 million in chips. Blind at 50 and 100,000. Boy, Chip Lee can swing with any raised pot here. Lloyd has been playing a very strong and aggressive heads-up game, which is really impressive when you consider the man's only been playing the game for a few months.
I'm ready to call the semi-bluff there. I don't know if 5 months is really all that accurate.
This time he peels back ace-9 suited.
Call.
Good hand heads up. He's just going to limp.
Daniel's got ace-jack.
Expect a raise coming from Daniel here. And this might be the big power hand that we were looking for, Chris, to separate these two a little bit. Aces heads up, premium.
Option is checked.
Daniel going to check his option with ace-jack. Sneaky, sneaky, sneaky.
I would expect Daniel to check this flop and try to get Lloyd to bet. The flop is deuce-3-king. Daniel's first.
Both players missed this flop. Daniel way ahead in the hand with ace-jack. And he is going to bet it. Fires 140,000 to our disabled American veteran, who's going to make the call.
Which I'm not sure Daniel is probably exactly excited about.
Daniel trying to speculate Lloyd's holding.
And here comes the turn. It is a 7 of spades, so now Lloyd picks up a flush draw.
Neither player holding a pair yet. They're just betting with sheer heart right now.
Daniel makes it 140,000.
Easy call for Lloyd to make here with a nut draw.
Well, 2 quick calls from Lloyd, in my mind, if I'm Daniel, probably equals that he is on some sort of draw. Since he called so quickly in the flop, perhaps Daniel's putting him on the diamond draw. Little does he know Lloyd just made the nut flush on the river.
Everything is going Lloyd's way right now. Let's see if Daniel fires a third bullet to try to push him off of this hand. After the 2 quick calls he's made on both streets, I can't imagine Daniel is going to continue on, and he is going to slow down. He's going to check. Lloyd's going to value bet here, 400,000.
And Daniel's going to take one last look here, probably at ace-jack, and throw him into the muck and wonder what just happened. I just lost 400,000 chips. He does muck, and Lloyd takes a huge hand off of Daniel and now puts himself firmly in the driver's seat. He had a nice lead starting this hand, but Fred, he really has got Daniel backed into a corner now.
He is widening his gap here as the chip leader, but still one misstep and things are going to be evened right up again.
Lloyd Marshall going to be first to act in this hand.
This time it's king-queen.
Oh.
And again, he's just going to limp.
And now to Daniel. Daniel looks down at Jack 5. Check or bet?
He is going to check his option. And if I'm Daniel, I got to be thinking, I've got to start making some moves, start getting some chips going my way a little bit. I'd like to start seeing him raise a little bit more.
Here comes the flop. It's deuce, deuce, jack.
Daniel pulls ahead, flopping top 2 pair.
Both players now check.
And he's going to check. Daniel a little too trappy right now. I think he needs to go ahead and bet.
And the turn is a 10.
And now Lloyd picks up an open-ended draw.
Daniel checks. Lloyd checks.
Daniel refusing to protect his hand. Why wouldn't Lloyd take a free river card?
The river is a 4.
Daniel's got the best of it, and Daniel checks again. And Lloyd is not going to waste any more money. And it's another 220,000 going into Daniel's stack, but oof.
For sure, a bet by Daniel on the turn is going to get called there by Lloyd, no doubt about it. I don't know about the flop, but nonetheless, as you said, Daniel wants to start getting some chips coming his direction. He's on the right track. Daniel looks down at ace-4 yet again. This time out of the small blind.
Raise.
A raise has been announced over here by Daniel.
Raise.
Wait, he hasn't made his raise yet. He hasn't made his raise yet.
No, I'm asking if he's raising.
Yeah, he is.
I did.
Yeah.
All in.
What's that?
All of it.
Call.
Daniel's all in. Lloyd makes the call. It's ace-4 versus ace-king.
Nice hand.
And just like that, Lloyd is just 5 cards away from an HPT championship.
King. It's all good. He's going to work it again.
Lloyd has a big lead in this hand. Daniel only 3 outs and 1 live card going into the flop.
Chris, please see the flop.
All right, here we go. The flop is 7-9-5 with 2 hearts.
No help for Daniel here so far.
May I please see the turn card?
4, come on.
And the turn is a king. That's going to do it. Daniel drawing dead on the river. Lloyd Marshall is our newest HPT champion here in the state of Nevada.
Awesome. Just awesome.
All right, guys, joined with Daniel. Now, it's always hard to go out in second place, but you played great. It was back and forth. It was a battle. What a final table, and what a long night it was.
It was a very long night, and come here with you guys at the final table. I had fun with everybody, all the players. My partner, Lloyd, took it down with the best hand, so obvious congratulations to him, first of all.
Sure.
And thank you very much for everything.
Daniel got heads up with Lloyd, Fred, and I think a lot of people maybe thought that Daniel was going to take this down due to his experience. Didn't work out that way. Daniel in second place, and right now our newest HPT champion is standing by with James Larson. James, let's go back down to you.
Second, 22nd. I know there's some of you out there watching right now. I played for our boys who fell. That's our heroes. Our heroes. And all you disabled veterans out there, proud of you, love you all. God bless America.
That was awesome. He's our newest champion. Shake my hand, Lloyd. It was a pleasure having you at this final table. Well, we've got $55K in cash. We're going to have a little partying down here with the fans back here. Chris and Fred, we'll send it back to you guys to wrap things up.
Fred, I only think it'd be appropriate if our newest champion, Lloyd Marshall, bought us our last call here on Season 7's last call as he walked away our champion tonight. Congratulations to Lloyd and hope to see all of you in Season 8. Now, speaking of Season 8, we've got a lot of events and brand new locations coming up on the HPT. Go to our website, hptpoker.com, to find out when we might be in your backyard. For James Larson and Fred Bevel, I'm Chris Hansen. We'll see you next time in Season 8 on the HPT.